everyone, my name is Lydia. This is my dad, Chris.
Hi.
And Gracie.
Hi.
Today we are going to be reviewing a 1,800 PSI and 1.1 GPM power washer from the Greenworks company. Before we get started, I have a special shout out for my dad's coworker who let us use her electrical power washer for this video.
Thank you, Miss Beth.
Let's get started.
All right, so as Lydia said, we're going to be reviewing this power washer from Greenworks. It's an 1800 PSI and a 1.1 GPM unit. It has standard hookups to your outlet or anywhere in the house or the garage. It comes with an outlet for the water going to the wand that you'll hook up the hose to. And then you'll hook up the regular hose to the back side that you take the water from your regular spigot from the house. And then what you do is at the end of this wand, there is a quick connect system that will hook in your turbo nozzle. It could fit like this. It just fits in nicely like anything else that you would use that for. We have a couple different nozzles that also go on the end. We have two 0-degree nozzles and a 40-degree nozzle, which we will show you as we go through it. The two 0-degree nozzles on the surface sound very similar, but they actually have two different openings. So the amount of water that goes through each one of these is different, even though they're both rated for 0 degrees. And we will show you how to go through that. The reason why we wanted to review this particular power washer as a start is because we're in the market for a power washer and we want to test a few and see which ones we like best. The other way to check to see if this actually is going to give us the 1,800 pounds per square inch is to actually check it against a pressure gauge. We got this on Amazon for about 20 bucks. And we're going to hook that up and we're going to measure the actual pressure that this thing puts out to see if it's actually close to the 1,800 that it claims on its label. The other thing we're going to check is the amperage, which is the amount of current that this thing requires to do its job. So this is a unit we got for approximately $10 on Amazon, and it just plugs into your regular outlet, and then on the front, the unit will plug into that, and then in this digital screen here, it will spit out the amount of amperage that this thing requires when we start pulling the trigger. So we're going to be able to give you several pieces of information on this unit today. One, we're going to see the amount of electricity it requires. Two, we're going to check the amount of pressure to see if it's even close to what it says it's going to. And then the last thing we're going to check is the gallons per minute, the amount of volume that this thing will also spit out. This says it'll do 1.1, but we're going to put that to the test with each of the different nozzles. And then as a special kind of a last thing we're going to do is I also have bought this surface cleaner to help clean our garage. And so we're going to check the pressure, the amperage, and all of that stuff on the surface cleaner as well. And we will show you how to do all of those things in case you're in the market for something like this. Okay, so to get started, we bought a quick connect system, which helps us hook all this up. So I was going to hook these up and show you how to do it. So on the wand itself, there is a threaded nozzle here that I'm going to put on like this, and it just hand tighten. When that's hand tight, then we also need to put one of these quick connects that's threaded on the end of the hose, like this. And it just screws in until it's tight. And this will allow us to take our pressure gauge right here and hook it up to the hose. So you push the gauge in and you pull back on the collar to where it locks, so it's locked in there now. And we're going to do the same thing up here with the gun or the wand, and now we have hooked up our gauge, and when we pull the trigger, the pressure will be able to read off of the gauge like this.
So as you can see, we have this power meter. And in the back, it has a plug-in that you are going to plug into the wall, just like this. And once it turns on, you're going to keep hitting the M button until it gets to A, which stands for amps. You're going to take this plug-in. This one is connected to our electrical power washer. You're going to plug it in to the front where the other plug-in is. And as you can see, it uses 0.016 amps right now in this state.
As you can see, the power washer is plugged into the power meter, and it draws a very low amperage in its resting state, this 0.015 amps. When we turn on the power washer, it will draw more amps, and we'll show you that now. As you can see, for a moment, it maxed out at approximately 8.7 amps, and then it settled in at approximately 7.9 amps, which was the steady draw with the turbo nozzle. Since we just checked the turbo nozzle and the amperage it draws, we've decided to save time, and we are going to just show you a table of the amperage required for each of the tips with this pressure washer. Specifically, we're going to test the 0 degree with the small orifice, the 0 degree with the large orifice, and the 40 degree nozzle, and you'll see that in the table right here. Okay, so now that we've checked the amperage that each nozzle draws, we're going to check the actual pounds per square inch, or PSI, for each of the nozzle tips to see if it's accurate with what the company says it is. Remember, this one's supposed to be a 1,800 PSI unit, so that will be our next step. First one we're going to check here is this turbo nozzle, which is on the end of the wand. In order to do that, we have to take our pressure gauge here that I got on Amazon for about $20, and we're going to use our quick connect system to hook this up. So we're going to pull down the collar, we're going to insert the gauge and hook it in that way. We're then going to hook up underneath the wand there. So this is all hooked up and this is ready to go. All we have to do is turn on the unit and then read the pounds per square inch off of this gauge. Okay, so now we have everything hooked up with the turbo nozzle. We have the water on and the power turned on to the unit. And as you can tell, the resting pressure is approximately between 200 and 250 PSI. That's the standing pressure for the unit. And now when we turn it on, we're going to see what it spikes up to. So as you could tell, on the gauge, it spiked up to approximately 400 PSI with the turbo nozzle. Okay, on this one now we have the blue 0 degree small orifice nozzle, and we're going to check the pressure on this one as well. As you can tell, it actually went down in pressure from the resting pressure of around that 200 to 250. So we're going to guesstimate that the pressure on this one to be either 100 PSI or lower than that based upon this gauge reading. Okay, now we have the 0 degree red nozzle with a larger orifice on it. And resting pressure, you can tell, is still around that 200 to 250 mark. So let's turn it on and see. So just like the blue one, the pressure actually went down. So we will estimate this to be at 100 PSI or lower, just like the blue tip was. Okay, so now we're going to test the white 40 degree nozzle with the factory orifice. So we don't know what size the orifice is, it's just what came with the unit. And as we noted before, the resting pressure is approximately 200 PSI on the gauge. So let's see what it gets up to. So that got up to 1,000 PSI when we used this nozzle. Okay, so the last one we're gonna check as far as the pressure reading is gonna be with the surface cleaner that I got from Amazon. It's a Lidodola 15-inch surface cleaner that we've hooked up. The working pressure is supposed to be between 2,000 and 4,000 PSI. I don't think we're gonna reach that with this unit, but we're gonna test it anyway just to see what the pressure will be. So you can tell that went up to approximately 300 PSI, which is well below the minimum range. So I don't expect the surface cleaner to work very well with this particular unit we have today. Okay, so now that we've tested those other parameters, we're gonna check volume or flow. Each unit is rated at a certain GPM or gallons per minute. So we're literally gonna test this for 1 minute of time that I will keep track of. And we're gonna test the turbo nozzle first, and then we'll report on the other nozzles and their GPMs separately so that you don't have to watch each one of these take up all this time for you. So, okay, so I'm gonna do this for 1 minute. We're gonna start the timer in 3, 2, 1. So after our 1 minute test, we have approximately 4.4 quarts that it filled up. And so that's approximately 1.1 US gallons here that you can see as the conversion.
On the next slide, we have made a graph chart that shows everything that we have covered today. Feel free to use it whenever you want to.
Okay, so that wraps up our video of testing and reviewing the Greenworks 1800 PSI and 1.1 GPM power washer unit. We gathered a lot of data today. We hope that summary slide provides some insight to this machine that perhaps some of you may want to acquire for home use or other uses. There's a lot of data we gathered today, Lydia. What was something you learned about the time we spent reviewing this power washer?
One of the things I learned is that as the pressure goes up, the volume comes down. But as the volume comes up, the pressure has to go down. There's no equal balance when they're both maximum. And I also learned one of the words that Dad said.
What was that?
Guesstimate.
A guesstimate. You've never heard of a guesstimate?
Of course not. It's not a real word.
I feel like I've failed you as a parent a little bit, but that's okay. We'll learn more stuff together.
If you guys figure out that it's a real word, it isn't, put in the comment section below. Just another special shout out to Miss Beth. Thank you so much for lending us your electric power washer. And because of this, we wanted to ask her what her favorite Bible verse was to use in our video. This one comes from 1 Timothy 15. Here is a trustworthy saying that deserves full acceptance. Jesus Christ came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am the worst. Thank you so much for watching again. Bye. Remember, everyone, if you have any questions, comments, or deep thoughts, put them in the comment section below. And remember to hit subscribe.